Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blame It on the Stars, where we give you an inside look to what's going on in the universe so you can blame your problems on the stars. It is Jade here.
And it's Kara.
And this week, it is Scorpio season. You're going to be getting an entire overview of everything that happens during Scorpio season so you know what you're getting into up front. But in case you missed it, on Sunday, Mercury entered Scorpio, setting the tone for Scorpio season. So if you want to know more about that, then definitely listen to last week's episode before diving into this one.
And just to give you a heads up, next week we will tell you everything you need to know about Venus in Libra and how it affects you.
Now, before we dive into the episode, just wanted to let you know that the following transits, the Sun entering Scorpio, the lunar eclipse in Taurus, and Saturn stationing direct in Pisces all happen this week. So we will explain these more in depth now in this episode. The other transits, such as Venus entering Libra, Mercury entering Sagittarius, and the new moon in Scorpio, all happen later, and they will have their own episodes, but we will discuss them now so you do know what's to come. With that being said, let's talk about Scorpio season. Scorpio season begins when the Sun enters Scorpio on October 23rd at 12:21 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Per usual, the date and time are from the website astroseek.com. So how this affects you is that for the next month or so, you are taking on that Scorpio energy. Scorpio energy is often associated with intensity, passion, and deep emotions. So things might be getting a little bit more intense in your life.
Scorpio energy is known for being very transformative. So during this time, you might find that you're going through a lot of significant life changes, whether that's in your personal life, your career, or internally within yourself. Also, because Scorpio is a water sign, your intuition will be heightened during this time. So as you are making decisions and going about your everyday life, you might be more in tune with your inner self.
Now, there are some key dates you're going to want to pay attention to while the Sun is in Scorpio. The first one is October 24th. The Sun will trine Saturn. This is a great day for discipline and focus. You might find that you're more willing to tackle your responsibilities with confidence and persistence.
And then on November 3rd, the Sun will be opposite Jupiter. Oppositions do bring about a push-pull energy. So on this day, you might find yourself going back and forth between being very intense and dedicated as you're working towards your goals and wanting to relax, take it easy, and just enjoy life.
And then on November 13th, the Sun will be opposite Uranus. This might cause for a strong desire for change or progress. If you're finding that you're feeling a little bit stuck in life, there might be some of that energy of wanting change provoking through. But on the plus side, this is a really good aspect for inviting in change in your life. And you might also be experiencing some breakthroughs and realizations during this time.
And then on November 17th, the Sun will be trine Neptune. On this day, your intuition is going to be heightened. This is a great day for being creative, listening to music, and finding ways to express yourself.
And then on November 18th, the Sun will be conjunct Mars. Now, this is always the warning since Mars does deal with how we assert ourselves. This is definitely not the day where you want to be picking fights with people. But the plus side to this energy is that there is a lot of energy. So if you're into physical activity, you're in a competitive sport or activity, or you're just looking for a bit of a boost of courage and fearlessness, you'll definitely find that the energy is very abundant on November 18th.
And finally, on November 20th, the Sun will be sextile Pluto. Pluto is a very intense planet, so that's going to bring more passion and intensity into your everyday life. It also is a really good day for healing and self-reflection.
The next thing that happens during Scorpio season is the lunar eclipse in Taurus on October 28th at 4:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. what you need to know is this is the last Taurus eclipse that you'll experience. So we're closing out that Taurus and Scorpio eclipse cycle. Since Taurus is associated with stability, practicality, and our values, and since eclipses tend to bring about changes, you might find that you're looking to make changes in those areas of your life.
Because lunar eclipses are full moons, and full moons are a time for letting go, you may find that as you are entering the final stages of this eclipse cycle, that you are releasing and letting go of the things that aren't serving you anymore, and that you're able to then move forward to adopt new habits and ways of being. Because Taurus is an earth sign, you also may find that you feel more connected with nature and that you feel more grounded during this time.
Now, there are a few aspects to this eclipse that make things just a little bit more juicy. Also, I just want to clarify that this lunar eclipse is happening at 5 degrees Taurus. The north node is at 24 degrees Aries, so it's still close enough to the moon being at 5 degrees Taurus to make this an eclipse. But in addition to the aspects to the nodes that make this an eclipse, the sun will be conjunct Mercury and the moon will be opposite Mercury, meaning that the way that you think about things, the way you process and share information, how you speak to others, and how you listen to others are all going to be primary focal points of this eclipse. So if you're seeking to make changes in the way that you communicate with others or listen to others, that's just something that might be brought to your attention during the eclipse.
At the time of the eclipse, the sun will also be conjunct Mars and the moon will be opposite Mars. Mars brings about a lot of intensity and passion. So you might find that you are having a lot of energy come up that day. It also might make you feel a little bit more assertive and dedicated as you're working towards your goals.
Also, this lunar eclipse has aspects to Jupiter. The sun will be opposite Jupiter and the moon conjunct Jupiter. The plus side to this is that the moon and Jupiter together are really encouraging optimism and potential for positive shifts and growth in your life. However, being that the sun is opposite Jupiter and the moon, it's going to be really important that you find a balance between your personal ambitions and also your emotional and spiritual needs. You want to make sure that you're not overdoing or overlooking anything with the sun being opposite Jupiter as well.
Especially because this lunar eclipse will have positive aspects to Saturn, with the sun trine Saturn and the moon sextile Saturn. Saturn is a more serious planet, and it also implies that the effects of this eclipse will be long lasting. So it's really important that you are being responsible and practical during this time.
And then lastly, the lunar eclipse will square Pluto. This is a more challenging aspect. Pluto is associated with transformation, and lunar eclipses in general can stir our emotions. You might find that there are certain areas of your life where you're looking to make transformations, where you're looking to let go of things so that you can move forward, but it might feel uncomfortable to do so, or you might feel as though you are not ready to do so. One thing that's important to mention is that eclipses, while they might be encouraging or suggesting change, are still not necessarily the best times to actually go forward and implement those changes. So if you do notice some strong emotions or strong feelings with that aspect to Pluto, that it's best to just reflect on it rather than act on it. Now, the next thing that happens during Scorpio season is that Saturn will station direct in Pisces on November 4th at 3:03 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So how this affects you, now that Saturn's no longer retrograde, we're taking our responsibilities seriously again. Not saying that we weren't before, but when Saturn is direct, it encourages a stronger sense of discipline and structure. So you might be seeking those things if you notice you kind of were taking a break from being super disciplined, that energy is back.
So in your personal life, you might find more of a need to establish a sense of routine and clear goals. You might find that it's useful to use a planner, update your calendar, and get things organized in that way. Also, if you are looking to start new habits, this could be a good time to do so.
Now, everything else that we're about to mention will have their own episodes and deep dives that you can be on the lookout for in the weeks to come, but we're still going to discuss them so you kind of have a bit of an idea of what energy is to come. The first one, I'm sure, will make everybody happy to know about is Venus entering Libra. This happens on November 8th at 4:31 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Why is this something you're probably looking forward to? Venus being in its home sign is always a good time. What you can expect is the Venus energy, the social energy to really be able to express itself in an easy way.
Even though Venus performs at its best in Libra, there are some challenging aspects to this transit. Venus will be opposite the North Node, and there will be a square to Pluto. More on that in next week's episode.
The next thing that happens is Mercury entering Sagittarius on November 10th at 1:25 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that could be November 9th if you're on the West Coast. What you need to know is that Sagittarius is a sign that values open-mindedness, and Mercury is the way that we think about things. So Mercury in Sagittarius usually makes for a time where we are more willing to learn new things, open our mind, and embrace new perspectives.
One thing that's really important to know, though, is that Mercury will retrograde into Sagittarius in the near future. Once Mercury leaves Sagittarius, it will enter Capricorn. The retrograde will start in the sign of Capricorn and go back into Sagittarius. So that's really important to keep in mind, because the themes that are coming up for you while Mercury is in Sagittarius will come up again, and you will be reflecting on them in that area of your life during the retrograde period. In addition to that, there are some aspects that are worth mentioning. Again, we will go more in depth into what they mean and the specific dates in a future episode. But for now, just know that there will be a positive aspect, a sextile to Venus, and also a square to Neptune, which can make our communication confusing.
Now, then, the last thing that happens during Scorpio season is the new moon in Scorpio on November 13th at 4:27 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Something you should know is that new moons are for new beginnings, and since Scorpio is also a very transformative sign, this new moon could feel like a mini rebirth. You might be setting intentions around transformation or renewal in your life. So if that's something you are looking for, you are going to want to start off November 13th in your calendar.
As for the aspects at the time of this new moon, the sun and moon will be conjunct Mars, which is going to really accelerate our renewal process, and it might make you feel really inspired and motivated as you are setting goals. However, there also will be a challenging aspect to Uranus, which can bring about some unexpected changes, and a trine to Neptune in the mix as well. So it's kind of a mixed bag. And again, more details to come in that episode.
And that's pretty much it for Scorpio season. If there's anything that came up that you're curious to know how it affects you on a more personal level, then this is your reminder. We do offer readings hosted on an app called Intro. If you want to book a reading, the link will be in the description.
And if you've never booked a reading with us before, then you can use the code STARS, all caps, STARS, for $20 off your first reading.
And just a reminder, next week we'll be talking all about Venus entering Libra and how it affects you and your relationships. So if you want to know more about that, then stick around for next week's episode. But until then, if you want to stay in the loop with us and what's to come, we are on social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at BLME The Stars. That is all for now, and we'll see you all next Monday. Bye.